Good morning, beautiful people. How are you all today? I hope you're fine and dandy. It's early. Whoopla, don't lose any. It's spider's web. Don't bend down with your mouth open. You'll get a mouthful of spider's web. Yeah, it's early on Saturday morning. The routine at the moment is very much come down in the morning as early as I can drag myself here to do my watering and other sort of little jobs that need doing. But from tomorrow, it's from, you'll see this after, but from tomorrow it's when we're about to get really hot, like possibly 40 degrees, which for you Fahrenheit lovers, it's about 105. That's really hot for the UK. So, because we're going to have 3 days, it looks like 3 days like that, I'm just going to try and do a load of little odd jobs this morning. Obviously I'm starting here with the blueberries. This bush I haven't harvested at all. Well, I think I might have had a couple of handfuls from, but really nothing much to speak of. So yeah, I'm just getting, dropping so many, I'll go round and pick those up. But yeah, I thought I'd just get the rest of this harvest done now, because I don't know what blueberry bushes are going to be like in heat. I make it sound like a dog. But the fruit is ripe. It's really ripe. So I don't want to leave it and risk it all going mushy. So yeah, all the blueberries are coming off. Sorry, I'm multitasking, so I'm not thinking or talking straight. The reason I'm doing this today is because today it's going to be like a normal hot summer for us. High 20s, which is... high 80s, low 90s. Now in the UK, that is kind of hot for us. That's what we think of as, oh yeah, it's a really good summer if we get 2 or 3 days like that. We've had it for over a week now, and then we're going to have these 3 days of really intense heat. So up until today I've been watering, do a few jobs, but honestly I think for the next 3 days it's going to be a case of get down here, water, get out of here, because it's going to be hot really soon in the day. And like I was saying the other day when I was doing my tomato cares about watering, in the evenings it's going to be over 30 in the evenings, which will be horrible for watering. So yeah, a few little bits and bobs of jobs today, harvesting, and another job. You can see me, I'm ducking out of the way. This gorgeous verbena, which it's over 6 foot now, but it's kind of starting to flop over the path. So I've got this handy. Some of you may remember this from the broad bean bed. Some of you may not have seen it, but this is actually the side seam from an old duvet cover. Knotted in the middle to make it longer. It was to make it long enough to have sort of 4 metres for that row of the bed. A duvet cover that was, oh my goodness, 30 years old. An absolute favourite. It's a Cath Kidston cover before anybody even knew who Cath Kidston was. My absolute favourite duvet cover, worn, patched a number of times, but it had got to the point where, you know, it was beyond saving. So I cut it up. Any of the bits of fabric that were savable still, so that was mostly sort of down the 2 edges and across the bottom, get the least wear. Any bits that I could save, I did save, and the seams, great as string. Mentioning that because I've got a little hook in the fence at the back there, so I can just whip this around the verbena, just hold it back a little bit. I don't want to get too much in its face because it's lovely, but it's getting in my face. So get that tied back a bit, and then I can get stuck in behind it. And one of the other things for this morning, oh my goodness, tons of aeroplanes again. I swear they wait, it's right over me. I think the airports, you know, they must have like a CCTV camera on me, and they're like, right, Vivi's arrived in her garden, quick, send all the aeroplanes out. Yeah, one of the other jobs I'm going to do today is my first Calendula Harvest. However, it is early, so at the moment they haven't quite fully opened. There may be a bit of dew on them. We've been so dry for so long, I doubt there's any dew. But in any case, when I'm harvesting flowers, I like to do it in the morning, but I like it to be for the sun to have been up long enough for the flowers to fully open and give them a chance to dry off if there is any dew on them. So I'm keeping half an eye on them, kind of watching them open, but that's another job to get on with. Anyway, let me get on with the blueberry harvest. Oh, and while I'm getting on with this, let me show you what has happened in the last couple of days with one of my plants. That tree lily, oh, so utterly lovely. Every year, every year it's such a delight. And of course I dug up and transferred a couple of the smaller bulbs into the herb garden, which are also in flower. But at the moment they're swamped by the lovage, and the lovage is actually it's pretty much gone over. So I'm going to cut the lovage down. It's going to disappear for a second. I don't want to... This would be better with green string, wouldn't it? So it doesn't show up. But duvet cover seams is what I've got. Yeah, chop the lovage down so that the tree lily can show off. Now, is that enough? Let's have a little look. Yeah. Just to get it clear of the path, because it's sort of, it's at eye height, whacking me in the face. Will that do the job? Is that tight enough? I think so. So now while I'm here, get a bit of rhubarb out. Going in. It doesn't know when to stop. One thing I have been mindful to do since kind of mid-spring really is, even when we've had rain, is to remember once a week, once a fortnight or so, is to dump a can of water down the back here where I've got the honeysuckle and the rose cuttings, which are really the rose is really starting to get away. The reason is, I think the fence creates a bit of a weather shelter. So it was quite dry, and when I came to plant those cuttings, I thought, wow, it really is dry. And it was at a time when the rest of the garden was quite wet. So just bore that in mind to remember to chuck a can of water down there. And also remembering to chuck a can of water into the compost heap from time to time, so that doesn't just dry out and become basically a box of straw. I want things in there to compost. So wow, I really thought rhubarb was was done, but it just keeps coming and coming and coming. Fine, I love it. And hang on a sec. What I'd hoped for this year is exactly what's happened, and that is that those little cuttings, when they went in last year, the rhubarb was already getting away, so they were completely swamped and covered, shaded. They didn't really stand a chance. This year, when I've been firstly, they were getting away a bit before the rhubarb went mad, but also when I've been harvesting, I've been making sure to harvest those leaves that are covering the back area first, and therefore thereby letting a nice bit of light in. Honestly, so much, it's crazy. Is that enough? One more. So now that I'm just reaching for my secateurs because I'll just trim them while I'm here. Oh, it's sticky. Wipe hands on frock. Yeah, because I'm sure you all know by now the leaves are poisonous. Well, they contain high concentrations of salicylic acid. If you were to accidentally ingest one bite full, you're not going to instantly keel over. But because it's such high concentrations of, I think it's the salicylic acid? It can really, ingesting too much can cause huge problems in the kidneys and can actually lead to death. It's the same acid that's in spinach. A high concentration of that in the body can lead to gout, for example, from say spinach. But high concentration of rhubarb leaves, that could be death. So yeah, all I do with the leaves, snip them off, separate the ribs, chop into the compost. Great. So that'll take me a minute. Let's get that done though, because now that this is harvested, I've got with me today some newspaper, and what I'll do is I'm going to soak the newspaper, wrap the rhubarb in my newspaper and tuck it away in the shade. That should keep it nice and relatively cool and fresh before I get it home. Yum yum. Oh, and I didn't do all the blueberries in the end. Just show you they're gorgeous. I have left some because when I come back to gardening in the garden next week after the heat wave, such a lovely snack in the garden. I wanted to make sure I've got a few. Okay, so this is the monster lovage. It finally got to be a monster this year. For years it stayed like this, but you can see where the lily is. I want to take this down so that when I'm in the garden and I look through here, I've got this gorgeous massive lavender as a sort of carpet underneath, then the lily, and then going up to the verbena behind. Gorgeous. I don't know how much you could make out the bees in that bit of filming, but where to put it? Let's go that way. In the last few days, as it's gotten warmer and warmer, the bees have been going mad for the lavender. Now I have to be careful not cut the lily stem. Oh my goodness. I did that with one of my house plants. I had I've got a plant, I don't know what its proper name is, but its common name is elephant's ears. And I had a short stem and 2 long stems, and one of the long stems had snapped. It was all starting to wither in the top. It was horrible. So I went in to cut it out and I cut the long healthy stem. So then I had to cut the dead stem out, so I've just been left with the little one, but it's alive. Ooh. It's starting to get warm. Look, I think today as well, I've never ever known a morning like this with the aeroplanes. It's bonkers. Now, is it because it's a Saturday morning at the beginning of the school holidays? I don't know, but a few minutes ago, I was trying to get a shot of the beam poles against the blue sky because it's one of my favourite shots. I'll try again later. It's just, I couldn't get a sky clear of aeroplanes. Absolutely crazy. I mean, I look up into the sky and it's like I can count 6, 7, 8 aeroplanes just in my little bit of vision. And we wonder why we're having 40-degree weather. Oh, never mind. Right. Get this done. And I think I'm just looking, it's just behind you at the Calendula. I think they're just, they're not quite fully open. Might have to think of a different job. Might have to think of a different job. The other thing about this lovage growing like this, it's the lavender's flattened, but it'll perk up, right. Let me get this finished and then think about what other job I could do whilst I'm waiting for those calendula to fully open. Better, isn't it? Now we can see they're slightly on the wonk where they've been forced over by the lovage, but they're beautiful. And by the way, yes, I know lilies are harmful to cats. What I'll do shortly, that can be my next job, is I cut out all the stamens so they won't drop on the floor and then the cats get the pollen on themselves and lick. Yes, that can be the next job. The other day I was mentioning how when we leave allotment sites, when they hand them back over, we should really attempt to have a good tidy up, take away our rubbish with us. Can you make out just in the middle of the picture? Oh, I'm trying to point it out. Where's my finger? There we go. The insect drinking station. So let's take our rubbish away. Now, I generally am pretty good about keeping on top of taking my rubbish home. You know, a beer bottle or a box of cat nibbles, whatever it is. But the other day I was thinking about this. Oh, hang on, let me just turn you around. There we go. It's the side of this terracotta trough. Now, I was thinking about having a good old tackle of the herb bed today, but I'm now reconsidering. Anyway, the point is, obviously it's very much broken. To put that in my rubbish, I'm going to have to smash it down. And yes, I know, keep it for crocks for the bottom of other pots, but frankly I've got enough by way of crockage. And then I suddenly thought, I know, down in this area, I mean the rhubarb leaves help, it's quite shady, but also every time I top up the insect drinking station, you know, there's always a little bit of overflow just here. So this area actually stays quite damp. So I thought, I know it's not much, but I'm just going to lay that bit of terracotta there because I thought it's just a little tiny bit of a shady spot under there so that if any frogs or newts do stray over here and they hop in the bowl for a bit of a drink and they're too tired to make it back home to their pond, well, there's somewhere shady for them to rest up. I'm pouring plenty, kind of a bit of a clean at the same time, bit under there. You know, I don't actually water the herb bed. I've never watered the lavender since they went in, but I guess they get occasional bit of moisture where I'm a bit overzealous with my insect filling, and I can already see a little bee has landed on the corner there to have a drink. Good. Little teeny tiny jobs. Outstanding. Tick, tick, tick. Done. It's about 8:30 now, and yay, Calendula are open, time to get harvesting. Also, you can tell the morning's progressing because suddenly quite a few people are turning up to water. There's a family over there. It's at the far side of the park. They're so loud, you're going to hear them a bit. They're happy. Right, so harvesting the calendula. I put my gloves on because calendula are sticky. I don't know what. There will be some sort of reason as to why they've evolved to be sticky. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I don't like being sticky. So when I harvest right back down to the next growing stem, and it's just going to help to encourage more and more blooms as the season goes on. So this is a sort of an ideal one. Well, actually, it's about a day, 2 days maybe after it was ideal. I like them when they're super, super, super duper fresh, fully open, great. This one, you can see, it's really gone over. That's fine though, I'll still get the petals off. So all I'll do this morning is, you can do it in 2 stages. All I'll do this morning is harvest. They're all coming off, absolutely all of them. But the wonderful thing about calendula is, that just snapped off, they will just keep coming and coming and coming. So, you know, you might not want to harvest for a couple of days. You might want to think to yourself, oh, I want to see them for a few days before I harvest. Then you'll harvest the lot, and a couple of days later you'll have a load again, because even as I'm looking here now, there's masses and masses and masses of buds. So that one's a bit tight, that's a bit tight, this one can come out. Now what I was saying about 2 stages, oh, I accidentally clipped its friend. I can either just leave these in the basket to dry as they are. Actually, I'll transfer them from the basket because the basket is in daily use. I'll transfer them to just a little tray in the shed to dry. Leave them as they are to dry, and then in a few days I can pluck all the petals off, or I can pluck all the petals off now and spread the petals out. What it boils down to is time. You know, there's no better way to do it or worse way. It's just, oh, I've done it again. I'm not concentrating. I've just snipped a bud out. Concentrate, Vivi. Now, also there will be a few like this which are really, really, really gone over. I'll have them off anyway, even if all the petals have dropped, because otherwise that is going to start to produce seed. And although I want to produce seed, I want seed for next year. Fingers crossed I get a bit of garden space when I move. I don't want them all to start producing seed now, because once it starts producing seed, the plant is kind of, you know, let's be anthropomorphic for a minute. The plant goes, I've done my job, I've produced a flower, the bees have come along to it, now I can make seed and stop flowering. And that's the very last thing you want in your herbal or cosmetics garden. You don't want the flowering to stop. Now obviously later on in the season there comes a point where you will stop harvesting because you do want seed for next year, but we are a long, long way off that yet. I wouldn't normally think about stopping until, yeah, probably into September in terms of stopping and allowing the seed to come. I had other plans for this morning after there's quite a few plans, but actually it's getting really quite hot. It wasn't supposed to be like this today. So I think it's another day for being sensible. I'll get this done. There are a couple of little things, just sort of tidying up things I can do, and I'm going to do the watering next because that's the absolute priority. Then if there's any energy left, I might do a couple of other bits But otherwise, no. Get myself home. Into the shade. I'm so happy to be doing this today because, crikey, yeah, it must have been this time last year. Actually, I had way more the flowers earlier last year because I planted the seed earlier. And there was a big flush of them, and I was getting ready to harvest, and I'd gone off down to my great aunt's to sort something out at the house. And while I was there, I came home, I had chicken pox. I had to quarantine at home for a couple of weeks. So by the time I came back from my absence at her place and my chicken pox absence, it was about 3 weeks. The whole lot had gone over. So yeah, I ran out of my calendula oil and balm quite a while ago, so I'm really looking forward to getting my next lot on the go. And what I will do for folk who are new to my channel, hello, welcome. I know there's been a lot of new subscribers recently. What I'll do is at the end of this video, I'll put up the two videos. For the first one is for making the calendula oil, a cold maceration. It's the simplest, most economical way of doing it, cold maceration. And then the second video, which is once you've made your calendula oil, you can use it like that, of course, but also if you want to then take it a step further and make balm with it. So I'll put those two videos at the end, so that if you're at the harvesting stage too, you can think ahead just a bit in terms of if you need to gather some extra ingredients and bits and pieces. Oh, can't wait. The way the weather is at the moment, this is going to dry pretty quickly. Happy days. Yeah, sorry, I'm just lost. I lost in my own little world for a minute there. I just feel it's moments like these in the garden where one feels utterly blessed. And yeah, it's definitely these moments where I think, you know, all that grunting and harumphing and the hard work, the horrible, frankly, hard work, and the days of walking backwards and forwards and rubbing my knees all evening because they're sore. Wow, they're worth it, aren't they? They're worth it when we have these glorious summer mornings in our gardens, starting to have our harvests come in. Yeah. Lucky me, lucky us who get to do this. We should never ever take it for granted. Right, paddle on my trousers, don't waste it. It's gonna, can you hear that? That's what I mean about they're sticky. Okay, that one's stuck in place now. Never mind that. I'm gonna finish this lot. I'm going to go slowly, do my watering, get home. So I'm going to say cheerio to all of you for now. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out in the garden with me this morning. I hope it's been as relaxing for you to watch as it's been for me to actually be here doing. And I'll see you again really soon, I hope. It may be indoors, I think, if we're going to have these run of days now that are fiercely hot. I think the wisest thing to do is to find something to do indoors. So I'll see you in the next one at home. Until then, look after yourselves. Cheerio.